Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday night Dynasty Heat Seekers. I'm your host, Bryce Frazier, and I'm joined by the always reliable Anthony Leone. Leone, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Great to be back. Good to see you. Hope everything's well with you and your family. And happy to do the show with you tonight.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. So we're kind of wrapping up the series on this, the past, 6-7 weeks we've been doing players valued too high or players valued too low. We're wrapping up the players that are valued too high. We're with doing quarterbacks and tight ends today. And you know what? Before we get into it, I forgot to mention that you can find me at Roto Heat Bryce on Twitter. You can find us on the Facebook page, Dynasty Roto Heat Dynasty Fantasy Football. Join that Facebook page. It's free to join. You just have one rule, which is don't be a dick. Leone, they can find you also on Twitter at RotoHeatAnthony, right?
That's right.
And he is also active on the Facebook page. So don't
and
be
the
afraid
Discord.
to join.
And the Discord.
Oh yeah, and the Discord, which I believe you can find on the Facebook page. I don't think I have the link to drop here in the chat or anything. But before we get into our players ranked too high with quarterbacks and tight ends, we do have a little bit of news and notes. It's training camps finally started. And I don't know if you'd say he's a big name anymore, but he definitely used to be Julio Jones. Looks like he's chasing that ring, and you know what? I don't blame him. Joins Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Really loads that wide receiver corps up because he can really walk in there and really not have to do much. With Mike Evans there, Chris Godwin, who we also noted that is not on the PUP list, which is really good because it's looking like that he's going to try and aim to play week 1. And if he's trying to aim to play week 1, I feel real confident that'll be at least there week 2. So if you only have to miss 1 week of Chris Godwin, that's really good because coming into this offseason, it was looking like he might miss like 3 or 4 games. So good news. But what do you make of Anthony of Julio Jones joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, I think the biggest news here is really Chris Godwin. I don't really see a huge fantasy impact of Julio Jones. I mean, yeah, he'll slot in as the, Z wide receiver, or Godwin will play out of the slot. That's all, good and well. But I really think, if anything, Godwin not being on the PUP list is huge. But I think, mostly other than that, this really just kind of puts the sail out of Cameron Brate, especially now with, Kyle Rudolph there. Like, I think the Brate hype is pretty much gone now. I don't really see him being a big enough of a touchdown monster where he's really going to be startable. There's so many people on that offense. I mean, Russell Gage is there too. It's just, I think if anything, Brate is the one that gets hurt the most out of all this news today.
Yeah, I somewhat agree. I'm just going to see if it plays out because Cameron Brate, even if he was to be the starter and Julio didn't sign there, Kyle Rudolph, I think he'd just be more used in the red zone, and his touchdown upside obviously be sky high in that offense. And Julio, I think it's good value for people that have him because it seems like Chris Godwin and or Mike Evans miss at least a few games a year, and I feel a lot more comfortable plugging him in if one of those guys were missing.
Yeah,
I think it hurts Russell Gage more than anyone.
That's true too.
Just because I think they're going to put the 3 best wide receivers out there, and I think Julio still is better than Russell Gage even at this age.
I agree with you.
And everything. So, and shout out to CXK, first one in here. Always a supporter. It's good to see you in here, CXK. So with that being said, Leone, let's go ahead.
Also, before I forget, sorry. I'm gonna benefit the guys that are here early watching. It's Tuesday night. A lot of leagues run waivers tonight, and a lot of people went on PUP lists today. Gus Edwards, Logan Thomas, Christian Watson. I mean, this isn't stuff that's really like going to make a big difference in week 1, but utilize your IR spots. Put these guys that are on PUP, if they're eligible in your league, on IR and grab some free waivers in your leagues. Go through, add guys. Like, this is the perfect time to do it. A lot of people are sleeping in leagues this time of the year. This is where you can grab guys. Like, I have a league where Cordell Patterson was picked up like this last year in the offseason, and he was an RB1. So it's not a waste of time. Sometimes you get lucky with these lottery tickets. And with all these dudes going on PUP lists today, this is the perfect night to do it.
All right. Good advice. And go ahead and start with your first overvalued quarterback.
Let's go with overvalued quarterbacks. Okay, this is my guy, my team, Trey Lance of the San Francisco 49ers. He's ranked quarterback 11. And I just think a top 12 quarterback is just far too risky because he could easily be a bust. And this, you know what really comes to mind is Trevor Lawrence last year was being taken exactly the same spot last year. And after his rookie season, what do you know? Trevor Lawrence is probably down to at least 15, 16. I'm just doing that based off of my own gut personal opinion. Let me check actually.
He's 13.
13. Okay, so it's still a little bit of a discount. Who else comes to mind? Oh, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was being taken even higher than this after his rookie season. And now he's like quarterback 30, 32. So I just think that I understand the upsides there, but it's too risky. You don't have to take these chances for quarterbacks. It's not like the running back position where you'll hit a home run with some of these picks because there aren't as many studly running backs in the league. There are plenty of quarterbacks in the league. Speaking of rookies from last season, Zach Wilson, quarterback 20. I mean, I'd much rather pay quarterback 20 for Zach Wilson with similar upside as Trey Lance than paying top 11 for Trey Lance. So I just think it's way too risky and it's just unnecessary. You can get good quarterbacks that are going to perform well. You don't have to spend this much value in such an early quarterback when you can get someone relatively good and with upside, like I said with Zach Wilson. I just don't think you have to go for someone as risky as Lance. Bryce, what are your thoughts here on my man Trey Lance?
Yeah, it was kind of eye-popping how low he was, and I think we talked about this before in previous weeks that we just thought that's way too high. As a guy that I don't always like to look at it this way, but Jimmy Garoppolo did not look great last year, and that offense had all the tools and weapons and defense to be like a Super Bowl caliber team. It's like if Trey Lance just looked a little bit better, you think they would have like put him in there.
Yeah.
So there must have been some concern that he, either wasn't picking up the offense, which would probably be best case scenario rather than talent wise, right? Because he obviously is talented. I just worry he's going to be a quarterback that relies way more on his rushing ability than his passing ability. And I'll allude to another guy, or I'll talk about another guy later, but I just don't trust quarterbacks like that to have longevity in the league. And I think a lot of times it's hard for them to get started. So yeah, Trey Lance is just way too high. There's other rookies, all the other rookies. He's ranked the highest of all of the rookie quarterbacks from last year. And he didn't even play. So I think it's just like a lottery pick, and the only reason he's ranked this high is because of rushing upside. I think in maybe a redraft league, this would be more reasonable of a value, but in dynasty, it's just way too high. I would expect him to be down there with Zach Wilson, like you kind of alluded to earlier, maybe a little bit higher or even a little bit lower. I think Zach Wilson and Trey Lance for me are kind of toss ups, like for who would I rather have personally, because Zach Wilson has the arm talent. That's what I look for it, especially in dynasty when I want a quarterback that's going to, potentially be my guy, at least a startable asset for 5 to 10 years. So,
and Zach Wilson has game both on and off the field. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah,
come on.
He Barstool immediately started making shirts that said "throwing bombs and banging moms." So if I was a Jets fan, I'd immediately buy that.
I might be a Jets fan now. I love
that. Nobody can dislike him at this point. All right, so I'll go ahead and jump into my first guy.
And everyone watching, please ask your questions. We'll get to those at the end of the stream. So thank you.
Albert talked about this. What about Superflex? Yeah, I think that's too high.
For Lance?
Yeah, that's what we're all of these rankings that we're talking about are for Superflex. So Lance was ranked quarterback 11. that's just too high. Like that's a QB1, right? I would feel way more comfortable drafting him as more of a quarterback two, a middle to low quarterback two. There's just guys that have way more, I think, way more potential to put up better numbers and still be in the league in 3 to 5 years.
And the reason why in like one quarterback league, like in redraft, right? Like if you're going to spend a top 12 pick on a quarterback, maybe you could get Lance. I mean, this won't happen in the Bay Area. This won't happen where I live. But I could see Lance falling to like the 10th or 11th or 12th rounds. And in that case, in a redraft, one quarterback, take the chance on Lance, grab someone like Cousins or Tannehill later on. And that way, if Lance blows up in your face, well, you still have a pretty good quarterback behind him. Mm-hmm. But in Dynasty, to take a top 12 quarterback, you're probably investing like a top 10 pick. And if it's super flex, a top first or second round, it's just way too rich when you can get players like Zach Wilson much later with similar upside. So especially in super flex, I just don't like it at all. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then any other questions we'll ask at the end. If I see some getting asked while we're on topic, we'll try and get to them. So with that being said, I'll jump into my first guy, and I've got Jalen Hurts ranked quarterback 8. And I kind of alluded to this earlier. Like Jalen Hurts is great right now as a fantasy asset, but just real life quarterback, I'm just not sold that he has a starting job for a extended period of time. Again, I think he relies heavily on his rushing ability to where if he were somehow to get injured or at least like hobbled to where he can't run nearly as much and has to lean on his passing ability, I'm not confident that he is a guy that I want on my team for 3 to 5 years at that ranking at quarterback 8. There's just guys below him that have already proven to be valuable for more years than him and still have that upside. Matt Stafford's going to be around for probably at least 3 more years. Russell Wilson, 3 more years at least. So taking quarterback 8 and Jalen Hurts just seems kind of nearsighted for me. Like you're getting him to try and compete now is the issue I have with Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great fantasy asset right now. I just worry about him when I'm investing a top 8 like quarterback. That's probably first or second round, and probably second round. I would guess that Jalen Hurts is going in a lot of super flex drafts. I want a guy that I'm confident is going to be for 5 to 10 years, and I just don't see it with Jalen Hurts. What are your thoughts on Hurts at QB 8?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the rushing upside is important and should be factored in. But in the NFL, especially, throwing the ball matters more than anything else, and making the right decisions matters more than anything else. So while he may be really good fantasy-wise this year or maybe the following year, if he's not winning games, he's going to be replaced as the starter. And that's not a good way to build your dynasty team, especially in superflex leagues if you're depending on these quarterbacks to, be the rock of your franchise. So I agree 100%. I think Hurts is he's too risky. Maybe, right. He very well could improve as a passer and turn into the next Russell Wilson type player. I don't think he'll ever have the upside rushing ability as or passing ability as Lamar has with his throwing and passing abilities. But let's say he becomes close to that. It could happen, but it's really risky because it very well could not happen. And he could be replaced as a starter in this league. People were talking about it mid last season that he would be replaced as a starter in this league. So, yeah, I get his job is pretty secure right now, but the NFL is a week-to-week league. And I would not be surprised if his job is threatened again midway through this season. And to take a quarterback top 10, no way. It's just too risky for me.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note with Jalen Hurts, like if he does end up being like good, right? He's got all the weapons now. If he ends up being like where you're drafting him, like he puts up numbers like that, he's still not like that. He's at his peak right now. That's the top. Like he's probably still not surpassing the people that are above him, ranked above him. I think he can. The only way he can go is the best he can do is stay where he's at or drop. So it just seems like a risky pick to take him that high. You'd have to hope that he has a really good season this year. It just to retain that value. I don't really see it going up.
If he really does put the passing all together and decision making all together and the rushing upside together, I think he would move up just like Josh Allen moved up. I mean, I really do. I think he could gain some value if he did put it all together. But I think the odds of that happening are slim.
Right.
And the odds of him getting worse or staying the same and losing his job is just much greater. So I feel what you're saying. I think this could be max value. I do think there's potential for him to gain value, but I think it's way more than likely he would lose it. So I think we generally agree. I think that was a good pick on your part.
All right. Jump into your second quarterback.
So I know you're going to disagree with this one.
I am.
I think you're going to disagree with this one, but it is Mr. Mac Jones. Mac Jones. You probably don't understand that reference. Now that I think about it,
Mike Jones.
Yeah, reference? Mike Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones, quarterback 18. Now, I'm not throwing shade against your team or your guy or your quarterback. It's my quarterback. He's a really good. He's solid as a real life quarterback. Okay, but in fantasy, the numbers just aren't there. He's never going to put up elite fantasy numbers. He doesn't have any upside. Okay. Yeah, he'll throw for a couple touchdowns every game. Maybe he'll throw for a pick, maybe not. But he doesn't have really any rushing upside. He's not going to put up, these huge passing stats like Herbert or Burrow or any of these other guys. So he's pretty much capped as a lifetime QB2 in fantasy. And I don't understand investing a top 18, top 20 quarterback kind of value pick on a guy who doesn't have really any upside. Like, yeah, he might get a little bit better, but you can get very comparable quarterbacks for a lot cheaper right now. Tannehill, Wentz, quarterback 29, Matt Ryan, quarterback 26. So why pay a way more expensive quarterback 18 price? I mean, I know he's a little bit younger than these guys, but
a little bit. He's a decade younger.
You can always get the Carson Wentz's, the Matt Ryans.
Not in Superflex. You can't always get them because eventually you draft and then you don't redraft.
Sure, but you can get them for cheaper than quarterback 18 Mac Jones. That's my point. Like, why pay quarterback 18 price if you're just capped with upside anyway? I mean, yeah, he's a little bit younger, but I mean, so what? I mean, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins. He's cheaper. And at least with Cousins, there's even more upside with Cousins than you're getting with Mac Jones. I don't get Mac Jones' fantasy value fascination. It doesn't make any sense to me. I get it. He's a little bit younger, but there's just no upside. Bryce, sell me on Mac Jones because I just don't see it.
I think he's appropriately ranked at the moment. I think that this is the lowest he goes. Like, I don't think that he gets ranked lower. These guys you're using that are below him that have similar value it's super nearsighted. Like, yeah, you could pass, and what are you going to load up on? Then you're going to load up on these quarterback twos like Matt Ryan and Kirk Cousins and Ryan Tannehill, and then hope that you got the chance to draft another quarterback that was a decent value within the next 2 or 3 years. I think Mac Jones at quarterback 18 is I think he's a very safe pick. He's a safe pick right now because he does have quarterback 2. He is capped on upside because of the lack of rushing ability. But there's plenty of quarterbacks that have been able to be quarterback ones and with low rushing upside that can still put up top 12 QB numbers. I don't think he's capped at quarterback 2. I think he's capped at low end quarterback 1 value, especially with the talent he has right now. But who knows what it looks like?
and take out, like the one season Matt Ryan was quarterback 3 or the one season Tannehill was quarterback 4 or whatever. Like, who's a consistent quarterback that you can compare him to, like, outside of the top 5? And I don't want to just put you on the spot, but like who kind of comes to mind? Is it because he doesn't have the arm strength and accuracy like Matthew Stafford does. I mean, you can't
Matthew
put him up.
Stafford's got accuracy. Matthew Stafford tied the league in interceptions last year. Tied the league high.
Come on, Matthew Stafford. Let me pull up some career stats here. Get out of here.
Pull up. Let's see who had a higher completion percentage this past season.
No,
Would that not dictate accuracy? How and the arm strength for me.
Matthew Stafford had 67% completion percentage last season.
Okay, so his decision making might be a little bit lower then. What was Max? What was Max percentage?
I know one game he threw 3 passes, so I don't know. 67% as well.
Okay, so the accuracy is not an issue. The arm strength didn't get. I don't think that it's a lack of arm strength. I think it was a lack of being able to display it, because who is taking the deep ball? Kendrick Bourne, he's not an elite deep ball guy, right? They don't have anyone that fast. Kendrick Bourne is not a burner. They had nobody that was a deep ball threat that year. People were saying the same thing about Tom Brady before he went to Tampa and got deep ball threat receivers, right? So I think it's more of like a lack of the personnel to be able to maybe display the full set of skills. So I'm not worried about all of that. A guy I would compare him to, I think that he could have a similar career when it comes to fantasy wise. That comes off the mind with maybe like Derek Carr. I don't think that's a horrible, and that's a guy that you probably feel.
Yeah, but Derek Carr has a really good arm.
He does.
I don't think Mac Jones matches that. Even that.
I think you're confusing Mac Jones's ability with how the offense is ran right now, right? This isn't going to be the same offense. Josh McDaniels is gone. We have no clue what this offense is going to look like. I really do think they throw the ball a significant amount this coming season.
So let's stick to this point, because this is going to be the most fun part of our show anyway. I can already tell. So let's hone in here on Mac Jones. All right, let's do this. Why? Okay, who would you rather have on your fantasy team? Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback 17, or Mac Jones, quarterback 18, or Zach? I'll even throw in Zach Wilson, quarterback 19. So we're gonna sandwich Mac Jones. We have a Mac Jones sandwich right here, and it's like double stuffed. This is a double stuffed Mac Jones right here. Who would you rather have? And tell me that you would rank Mac Jones over any of those guys.
I think I have more. I have this goes to upside. You could play this by upside, right? Upside, it's Zach Wilson or Tua, because
of course.
Look at the talent with Tua.
Of course.
But who do you think? Who out of all 3 of those guys, if only one of them had a job in 5 years, say someone gave you these 3 jobs, hey, only one of these guys is a starter in 5 years, who are you going to say?
And my point is, I respect that take. I 100% get what you're saying. But my point is, at quarterback 18, you can always find a cheaper guy who's going to be a starter 5 years from now.
Yeah,
Ryan Tannehill. Carson Wentz. All these guys are so much cheaper.
First rounders. You're gonna have to just ship off first rounders every other year because you're getting these 1 or 2 year replacements.
I don't
get the guy that has a job for 10 years. You can plug in as your quarterback 2. See if you can maybe get another quarterback in other drafts, and then he becomes your quarterback 3. It just seems like you're just constantly having to wheel and deal rather than just get a guy that's 4 or 5 spots higher than, like, he's only 3 spots higher than Kirk Cousins. He's 1 spot higher than Tua, 2 spots higher than Tua or whoever. Just get that guy that has a job for the next 7, 8 years at least.
Yeah,
probably.
but you can't guarantee he's going to be a staple in the league like that either. I mean, a lot can change.
I mean, it's funny that people, poop on him like you're doing right now because, like, who really has shown like that out of all the quarterbacks? Like, well, Baker Mayfield's the only other person that has had a really good rookie season, and they've always been pretty good from there on out. Like, who else has really done that? Like, he's had a great rookie season. Like, there's not many quarterbacks that do that. So it's just funny to me, like, that people crap on him for the lack of weapons he had was just absurd. Like, New England had one of the worst wide receiver corps in the league last year, bottom 5 for sure, and he still was relevant fantasy wise. I think his value only goes up. So I think 18 is a steal. I think he's ranked maybe a couple of spots too low.
Oh, yeah. No, I disagree. I'm glad we disagree though, because we get to see two different sides of the coin. I don't think it's
we'll come back to this one day. We'll come back to
this. I don't think
Bill Belichick said he had significant improvement.
Yeah.
In training camp, day 1.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
Well, who's your guy?
Nope. That was your guy.
That was my guy.
All right. Well, Tom Brady, quarterback 20. Tom Brady's going to put up top 5 numbers this year. There's no doubt about it. But this could be his last year. He already thought about retiring this past season. He very well could do it and do it for real this upcoming season. To take a guy that's supposed to be your quarterback 2, if he's ranked inside the top 24 in a 12-man league, ideally that should be a QB2. I am really nervous about taking a guy that could literally be done after 1 season. If you're looking to win it all in year 1 and your roster's got like a bunch of stacked veterans, sure, I guess it makes sense. But then you're going to run into a problem next year, the year after, if you've got kind of a win now team in that situation, because you're not getting a startup and you're loading yourself up on all these young studs. A lot of them are going in the first round. So if you get Tom Brady at quarterback 20 and you're not able to find a QB3, or you picked a QB3 like Pickett or somebody that just didn't pan out, you're in real trouble you've got to scramble to find a quarterback. So taking Tom Brady as a QB2 ranked at quarterback 20 is just too high for me. I'd be nervous that I'm only getting 1 year value out of him. Well, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady at 20?
Yeah, I'm completely out on Tom Brady. Completely out. Like,
I'll take him as my QB3 all day.
He would have to be quarterback 30 for me to even think about it. I like him more than, I'm looking at the list here. I like him more than Mariota.
I'd take him over Carson Wentz, I think.
I'd rather have Wentz. But yeah, it's way off base for me. Totally off base. I don't know why people think that. I mean, this dude retired. Like, he literally retired. Like, he retired from the NFL. And granted, he unretired, but still, like,
signed a post-retirement deal with Fox. Like, he's already set for 10 years after with Fox, I believe, or one of the sportscasting. Yeah, it's extremely nearsighted. I mean, that's all it is. It's if you're drafting him at QB 20, you're trying to win right away.
And he could get hurt. I mean, he'd be done. Like, why would he come back? He wouldn't come back if he got hurt or they're out of the playoffs. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. People,
it seems like the Buccaneers are win now, right? They got a lot of vets on that team. Like, Mike Evans is getting older. Like, he's about to be 30 probably next season. Leonard Fournette's getting older. Chris Godwin, he can't stay healthy. He's relatively young, but he's been getting injured every season, it seems like. The offensive line is getting older. Like, this is a win now team. And as soon as they don't become a win now team, which could be like literally next year, like, Tom Brady's gone. He's going to pack it up. And, he's already achieved so much. You probably won't see it in our lifetime, somebody to achieve that much again. So I just can't. I can't draft my second quarterback to be a guy that only plays for a year. So
agree, 100%. Yeah, I'm out on that.
All right, those are our quarterbacks. Go ahead and get into your tight end 1.
Okay, cool. My tight end 1 to talk about here, overvalued, overrated. I forgot which phrase we went with, either overvalued or overrated. Either way, Trey McBride. I still can't believe this. I just double checked now on the ADP from Sleeper. Tight end 15. 15 rookie tight end, Trey McBride. Now, if Ertz wasn't there and he's, kind of slotted to start, I guess, even still 15, even if Ertz isn't there, I still think 15 is too high. But Ertz is there. Oh, and by the way, he just signed an extension. Like he's with the team for at least 2 years. I think it's a 3-year deal, but, they have an out after 2. I don't like, he's not going to play. Like you're drafting a tight end 15. He's not even going to see the field. It doesn't make sense to acquire him now. Like, why pay a premium price, a top 15 price, for a guy who's not going to play and is very, very likely going to be cheaper next offseason after a full year of doing nothing? So look, if you like Trey McBride and you want to try to get him on the cheap, I'm for that. No issue with that. But I would not pay anywhere near tight end 15 price for him. And if you really are dead set on getting him, just wait a little while because he's not going to play. He's not going to get any fantasy points, especially to start the year with playing behind Ertz. So I don't get this at all. I am still surprised he's this high. And Bryce, I don't know if you please disagree with this one. Come on. One time.
How can you disagree with it? Taking a tight end that's probably not going to play year one. I seriously don't get it. He was drafted. He was the first tight end drafted. He had all the hype, but it's not like last year where it's like a Kyle Pitts or even previous years like Noah Fant Hockenson. Like he wasn't sought out like those guys. Zach Ertz came in that offense last year and is extremely efficient, especially when D-Hop went down. Like he's going to be the veteran presence on that tight end position on that field for Kyler Murray. I completely agree that I think Trey McBride would be a guy that I'd be looking to maybe acquire maybe next in the offseason, this upcoming offseason for way cheaper than what people paid for him. So yeah, it's just way too high. A guy that's probably not going to see many touches shouldn't be drafted as your backup tight end.
Right.
I agree completely.
Maybe a backup tight end.
Yeah, and this would be funny because my overvalued tight end is Zach Ertz, my first one, and he's at tight end 13, so it's kind of crazy. 2 dudes on the same team are ranked only 2 spots from each other.
Yeah, that is really weird.
It makes no sense. And my only point for Zach Ertz at 13 was I think it's just nearsighted value. Like if I'm trying to really win, I guess this year, it makes a lot of sense to take him there because you probably still draft him as a backup at tight end 13, who could have some seriously high upside at the beginning because we saw what he did with D-Hop out last year, and D-Hop's out for the first 6 games this year. So, yeah, he's going to have pretty good value, and I think he'd be a good flip. But still, there's just a lot of younger guys that are ranked below tight end 13 that I can see having very similar value for the next 2 to 3 years. When you get into the tight end position, it's really hard to get like separation outside of like the top 5 guys. So like even then, he's probably just going to be clumped in with the rest of the rest of the guys. And when you're clumped in like that, I'm going to go for youth all day. And Zach Ertz is not young. I think he's 33, 34. He's definitely probably one of the older.
I think he's only 32.
Oh, is he? Okay. Well,
I think.
Even then, he's still getting kind of older.
He's actually 31 right now. He turns 32 in a few months.
Okay, so he's about to be 32 in this season. So I'll take, again, like I just said, when they're all kind of clumped together outside of those top 5 or 6 guys, I'll take the younger assets over him. So
yeah, Gronk is 33, and Gronk has retired. So I mean, Ertz, similar.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good, but similar, pretty athletic.
Yeah.
I think Ertz is a great tight end value. But at tight end 13, there is no value to be had. I agree 100% with what you're saying. Like, he may start the season hot, without DeAndre Hopkins there, maybe, but I mean, there's just not enough upside there with an older tight end. I agree 100% with you. So I think he's a good value if you can get him at a good value. I think if you have him on your team from years past and he's just kind of hanging around, like that's cool. but I would not pay anything near tight end 13 to acquire him. I think if we're talking about like a regular, let's talk about like a regular start one tight end, no premium type league. I think a 23 third is fair. I don't know if you agree with that or not. I wouldn't pay a second. I think tight end 13 is kind of second territory, and I would not pay a second for him. So
yeah, like guys below him, like guys below him that are younger that have similar upside for me, like Irv Smith, Albert O, the tight end.
I didn't even want Hunter Henry, who is
Hunter Henry, absolutely. Yeah. I think I had him on my way too low list, so obviously I would. Yeah. Like there's just like these guys could be playing for a decent amount longer. Like David Njoku, I think his upside is way higher.
Tanya,
much younger. Yeah,
Tanya. So, I mean, I'd even argue those guys are Austin like Hooper.
Better.
I mean,
yeah,
there's so many guys.
Better.
Yeah,
they're not better, but like they're similar. I would say like they're like significantly better or anything, but they're just significantly younger.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes. That's what it realistically comes down to. I think Zach Ertz would be a guy if I had him in leagues. I definitely would wait a couple of weeks, see him hopefully put up numbers that he did with D-Hop out last year, and I would try and flip him for a second.
I don't know if he's tight end 13. I think you could just do it now. I mean, if people value him that high now,
you can, but I think it'd be hard to find people that realistically value him like that.
I disagree. I am
to find a team. I don't know. I think
this ADP says people are buying him. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it.
You'd have to ideally find I just feel like I don't know. I almost struggle with. I've tried to sell him in a couple of leagues where I have him and nobody's buying him for that ADP.
I think everyone that values Mac Jones way too high has Ertz already.
Yeah, that's not true. I don't value him too high. He's appropriately valued. A little bit low, actually. All right. Go ahead and get into your last tight end.
Yeah. Okay. So my guy is Jelani Woods. Very, very similar argument to Trey McBride. Jelani Woods, though, at least is valued at 21. At least. But even still, that's too high. I mean, he's behind Mo Alley Cox, who I admit isn't the greatest. But just like I said with McBride, he's not going to see much of the field this year anyway, Jelani Woods, that is. So his value is most likely going to be lower next season than it is now. So again, I don't understand the fascination with drafting these rookies year after year after year. Rookie tight ends do not do anything when they start their year, when they start their careers. They just don't, historically speaking, they just don't do anything. You have to pick out the same two dudes who ever done it, Gronk, and now you're getting into the territory of the greatest athletes of all time. These guys are always in this conversation. So it just doesn't happen. So why pay this top premium price for a guy who's probably most likely going to be cheaper next year? And yes, it's possible it doesn't turn out that way. It's possible, Jelani Woods becomes the starter and has a really good year and you can't get him lower than 21 in the future. But chances are he's going to be lower. So if I make my bets on all these decisions, always, hey, side with what's probably going to happen. Even if I miss on Jelani Woods, I'll hit on Trey McBride. I'll hit on all these other guys that we're talking about here not to take a chance on. It's too risky. It doesn't make sense. And you'll probably get him cheaper next season. Bryce, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think he's valued a little too high. I'm looking at him at more of 25 or 26 range personally, because I like Jelani Woods as an asset to gain value this season more than I like Trey McBride too, because I think Jelani Woods has a way easier path to see the field. Mo Alley Cox is all right, to where Jelani Woods has the freakish build. He's I believe he's a gigantic mountain of a man. Let me look here. And he was touted to be the most best raw prospect coming into this draft at that position. And Matt Ryan does like to utilize the tight end. So I wouldn't want to draft him as my second wide receiver, tight end, which is kind of what he's ranked at, being a tight end 21. But he's a guy I'm actually looking for after I got two tight ends that are starters. Like I want, when I draft, my backup, especially at these positions where you usually only start one guy, I want a guy I'm confident is going to be on the field. He might not have a guy that produces a lot of points, but you know what? If he gets 5 to 8 points a week, that's better than a goose egg. There's so many games I've lost less than 5 points that if I had to put up a backup tight end, like my starter's out and I got to plug a backup in, I would at least want some points. So I'm kind of steering clear of these rookie tight ends. Like it's only really Jelani and Trey McBride. I feel like a lot of people are drafting. I would rather much have him as my third option, which is what I'm doing a lot of times. And Jelani Woods is falling to me in those spots, at least in the drafts that I'm in. So yeah, I think he's ranked too high, but not a significant amount because, again, I think he has the potential this season to get that return in value and potentially exceed it if he gets the opportunity to be on the field more. And let me see his what are his 6'7". Yeah, he's huge. He's 6'7". So I knew he was a mountain of a man. So could be a red zone threat if he gets on the field this year. My last tight end, Dawson Knox, tight end 10. This probably isn't a lot of people probably disagree with this one, but I think Dawson Knox is more of a product of the offense rather than his talent. He's on an offense, obviously, with the Bills with tremendous touchdown upside, and we saw it this past season. And I almost worry that when a more talented tight end comes into that room, they could potentially take away touches from Dawson Knox. And I'm definitely in the minority here, but OJ Howard is now with the Buffalo Bills. It would not surprise me to see OJ Howard slowly creep in and take away touches from Dawson Knox as the season progresses. We're not going to see it right away. There's no way. Dawson Knox had a good year. But the talent of OJ Howard and the speed that he has at that position, along with Josh Allen's ability to extend plays and things like that, it wouldn't surprise me to see OJ Howard kind of creep in. The Bills have done this in the past. Like, what Sweeney was his last name. Like, he was involved in the offense, and I don't even remember his first name. That's how insignificant he was. But he was involved. He was on the field a lot. So if you put a guy like OJ Howard, who's probably more talented than any of the other tight ends on that team, I think he's going to shine in the few opportunities that he gets at the beginning, which is going to lead to him slowly creeping in and vulturing more touches away. So I like Dawson Knox, but I'm not taking him as my top tight end. I'm passing and taking some of those guys that we mentioned earlier, Hunter Henry, Alberto. I would much rather have Noah Fant. I think that was ranked below him. Just those handful of guys right there are guys that I think I would like at their value better than Dawson Knox. What are your thoughts at Dawson Knox at 10?
The disrespect of Tommy Sweeney. Tommy Sweeney.
I can't remember his name. That's how
it's just like that running back for the Jets last year that we're going to forget about in 2 to 3 years.
We're not going to forget about Michael Carter. Quit it.
So that's why you have to watch these shows every week so you understand the inside jokes we pop in. Okay, I 100% agree with you on Dawson Knox. He's a good guy. He's a good tight end, but he's a product of the system, and that is a problem, especially when next season you're an unrestricted free agent. Okay, he did not sign a contract extension. I do not expect the Bills to sign him to one because they're probably thinking, "Hey, this guy's just like a regular guy. Like we can get,
make him look pretty good."
We already have Tommy Sweeney. Why do we need another one?
OJ Howard's going to take over. That's my prediction. Kind of a bold one, but
I mean, they may, whatever. But they could, they could sign someone, like Uzama. We see tight ends Austin Hooper, all these guys, they move around quite a bit because,
Mhm.
if they block well and they catch the ball okay, they're going to be a tight end. But Dawson Knox's value is because of Josh Allen, 100%. Like, that's why. So I would not feel comfortable investing a top 10 tight end value type pick for a guy who is very likely, at least more than likely, he'd already be signed by now if it wasn't more than likely going to happen. More than likely will be an unrestricted free agent next year. So why take on this risk of a guy who is just in a good situation where he could very easily be in a very bad situation next year? We've seen it before where, teams will take 2 tight ends. Look at your Patriots, Hunter Henry and the guy that I already forgot his name.
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu Smith. Like,
he'll be more involved this season. He'll be more involved.
Jonnu Smith,
see.
yeah.
I think so.
So yeah,
who else is going to go out there?
Devontae Parker.
Yeah, but he'll miss like 6 games at least.
So yeah, so Knox, he's good, but given that he's an unrestricted free agent next year and so much of his value is tied to his quarterback, it's just too risky for me. So I agree. I think it's a great pick, and I just think he's a guy to stay away from. He's also a guy to sell right now if you have him. He's a good sell guy because a lot of people are high on him, and I think he's a good sell.
Yeah. I actually just traded for him in a league. I didn't really want him, but my tight end was so bad in that league that I was like, well, he's better than
you probably got him for a good deal, though. I mean, that's the thing, too. I love, all these guys. Look, everyone in the NFL is good. Everyone. Michael Carter's good, even though I'll forget his name in 2 to 3 years. He's really good. All these guys are really good.
Yeah, you're right, Mr. Scampers. John, you can't be less than ball. That's for
sure.
Yeah. He was. That's a good point. That actually is a good point. So that does it for our show. We'll answer some questions or at least some things in the chat. But those listening to us in a podcast later, thank you guys so much for listening. I think next week we are back with some deep stashes.
Deep stashes are my expertise. My favorite
We get to talk about some fun guys.
And that's just like how I started this episode. Like, hey, look, use your IR spots, grab these guys on the waiver wire because they can turn into something special, even if it's just for a season. It's a free ad. And I love deep dives. I really cannot wait to do that next week.
So we will see you guys next week. Thank you. Okay. I don't think we have a ton of questions.
No, but that was I think one of my favorite episodes so far, just because I get to see you cry over Mackey.
And there's no way. Someone made a comment about it, but he was talking about when you do one quarterback. I get pairing Lance with a safer QB, but that is never my strategy. Lamar, Mahomes won leagues because they were waiver wire ads. Yeah, but there's not going to be you're not going to find a Lamar or Mahomes on the waiver wire. The only guys this year that I think could be those
Daniel Jones is like the only guy that comes to mind. Yeah.
Then, honestly, it would not surprise me to see Matt Corral find his way onto the field this year. That would be the only guys.
Maybe Mariota, if Mariota stays healthy.
Mariota would be another good one. Yeah.
If he stays healthy.
Those would be, I guess, 3, but we'll see.
But even still, even if all those things happen to all these guys, they're not going to be, quarterback 1 or 2 winning leagues. I think they'll be good, but they're not going to be winning leagues like these other guys.
Could be. Honestly, he puts up great rushing numbers. He could be like the Jalen Hurts of
Mariota.
Yeah.
Well, Mariota can throw a touchdown pass to himself. This guy is god, fantasy god.
He did the who when you said Mac Jones. So my boss at my other job, his name is Mike Jones, and he hates that.
Why? Mac Jones.
He said he thinks we're both right on McCorkle. He's competent, if not expiring asset.
I've never heard that nickname before.
I haven't either.
McCorkle.
Macaroni and cheese. Seemingly lower ceiling that could serve you for 5 to 10 years. Yeah, and that's what I think he's ranked appropriately, just because of the security for longevity. I don't want to be constantly moving assets to try and get myself a quarterback too when I could draft one not that much higher than those guys and feel secure. And then last comment was Stanley Berryhill season. I don't even know who that is. That's how these deep stashes. I'm gonna learn some names. Mac Jones' real name is McCorkle.
No way.
There's no way.
No way.
There's no way.
Wikipedia right now. If it is, you got to share your screen. Oh my God. Share your screen.
Oh, his name's Michael. His name's Michael.
Dude, his middle name is McCorkle? Or is that his like second last name?
No, I think that's his middle name. Michael McCorkle Jones.
McCorkle? What?
That has to be a family name.
McCorkle?
Thank you, Mr. Scampers. I'm a Patriot fan, and I didn't even know that.
Bro, McCorkle. You want to draft McCorkle as your QB too? Get out of here.
So, my favorite team's quarterback, his name is Mike Jones.
His name actually is Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
Actually, his name is Mike Jones. Yeah. Mike McCorkle Jones.
Oh, no way.
That is beautiful. This is amazing.
Mr. Scampers. This is the best part of the pot. The whole freaking
This is amazing.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Now he's definitely more valued.
Now I'm okay with QB18. Actually, now the more I think about it, I think he's valued okay.
He's probably a chunky little kid. That's why I call him Mac.
No, it says here on Wikipedia he was a child model.
Oh,
he was probably like a really like thin, good-looking kid.
Let's look.
Can you find like some McCorkle?
Yeah, he talked about it in an interview once.
Yeah, he was probably pretty well. I think it was all like the college beers that got his famous gut.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Well, I haven't seen him without a shirt on.
Yeah, he's apparently pretty. I haven't either, but apparently he's pretty skinny now.
They haven't shown it yet, have they? It's like, did you see Stranger Things? The new season? Like that buff Hopper?
Oh,
Mac Jones like
he wasn't really like buff, but he was
like shredded though. Is like Mac Jones like shredded now?
I don't know. Let's look up weight loss. Mac Jones weight loss. It says Mac Jones losing dad bod amid diet.
Yeah,
it says he wants to stay close to 217, but somebody said his stomach is gone. Huh.
But there's no photographic evidence.
No, there was one his fiance took of him like outside the car, and he was like flexing, but he had a shirt on or whatever. So
yeah, so like Instagram, like that would be the place to go. Like find like a beach pic or something like, with his family or whatever.
He said, "Classic Belichick hiding Mac's body for strategy."
Yeah, dude. Like, could you imagine like Belichick like giving him like a fat suit to wear around everywhere? You know, man, like this big gut. Yeah, that's total Bill Belichick right there.
He did say he is. What was the word? Dramatically improved. So, or drastically, one of those two words.
Yeah, drastically improved.
No, I didn't get Juju Smith-Schuster in that trade. She traded somebody else the second and the third round for him. Darn.
A second and a third?
Yeah, someone gave up both.
Oh.
No, I get to keep my second. Whatever. All right, well, that's it for us. We don't have any more questions, Mr. Scampers. Thanks for being in here. CXK, if you're still in here, thanks for watching. Albert, thank you for getting in here. We will see you guys
my Anthony's didn't show up tonight.
Yeah, the Anthony 2 and 3 are not here.
Damn. Oh well. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you, Bryce. That was a great show. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week on deep stashes for your dynasty leagues. So tune in. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thanks.